Yes, hello. Welcome back to the final episode of Bluebeard's Bride here on the Terrible Warriors.
I don't know that.
am your groundskeeper, Justin Ecock. One way or another, this story is coming to an end because so is the month, and next month we're going to be playing Star Trek Adventures. If you have been enjoying this game and you would like us to keep playing it for some reason, even though we have gone through it a second time because it was so difficult, all of our games are being voted on right now on our Patreon page. So Patreon supporters of any amount can head over now to Patreon, actually for the whole month of October, and next month, same deal. Every month you get to pick out which game we're going to record the following month and then release the month after. So for this month, it'll be for the game that we will record in November, release in December. Right, makes sense. The first choice is Bluebeard's Bride. I don't actually expect Bluebeard's Bride to be voted for a second time. It is a great game, but it is not a long-form game, and I think that's for a reason. The other options are The Spire, the game Headspace, and Return to Masks. Last I checked...
Someone please vote for Masks
I
because
know,
I
right?
want to play My Hero Academia Masks
Me
so bad,
too.
and I already have that game populated.
I am ready. And
a new game is here.
and Masks and Headspace are neck and neck right now. So you can sign up to Patreon.
Except for a meditation app that is not sponsoring us. And how
Headspace,
dare
I'm
they?
glad you asked, Bree, is a cyberpunk powered by apocalypse role-playing game created by Mark Richardson from Ottawa, the cartographer for 7th Sea, where it's a shared consciousness cyberpunk game. So all of the players are kind of like this, all working with, if you think of Sense 8, sharing a hive mind in different locations, and whenever you do a move, you can do a move using the abilities of another character sheet, but when you do that, you also pull in all their emotional baggage when you do that as well, when you create a bridge.
Is it like Sense8 in that they're orgies all the time for no apparent reason?
Maybe Scott Thrower of Fairytales for Unwanted Children podcast.
Unwanted children?
I am surrounded
you don't want
by
children
my
in an
players.
orgy.
I just wanted to give you a little heads up there on the poll that's going on right now. You can choose what our next game is going to be, and you've only got a couple days left to choose it because the month is almost over. For now, we do have the current game that we want to wrap up, our Bluebeard's Bride. We have been moving our way through the mansion of Bluebeard, and as the bride of Bluebeard, trying to determine whether or not we are going to check out that forbidden room or run for our lives. I don't think I've been doing a good job of making you feel like you should be running for your lives, so that's what I'm going to be doing in this last room.
Last room, we could ring this out for 4 more episodes.
We could... in which case,
this will just be a 4-hour last episode.
See you back in a couple weeks because I'm spent. We're done for the night. So we might come back and wrap it up another time. But I'm kind of done with this game now for a while. And we will explain why in our debrief episode, also on Patreon, which you can download and listen to today, as we break down the challenges that went into this game. I love this game. Spoilers, but it wasn't the easiest thing to translate, especially for the format and all that stuff. Anyways, when we last left our bride, we had escaped attempted murder after successfully murdering another servant of our own. At the time, we didn't know it was a servant. We thought it was just an illusion, an hallucination created and manifested by another horror in the house, a previous bride who was trying to teach us a lesson. But alas, sometimes these things happen. What are you going to do? Here we are.
You're going to start a fire to cover it up.
The
That's
one
what you're
person
gonna
who
do.
does know
people.
what we've done is Annette,
This bitch.
who's the servant girl who replaces the candles in the master bedroom, which is apparently like a dedicated job now. And saw us in
career.
the kitchen and tried to teach us a lesson of shoving us into the oven. Thankfully, Francois, the sous chef, head chef, has saved our lives.
Things
and is now
escalated
our
very
hero.
quickly in this game. Like, can we just be like Bluebeard's Bride? Well, that escalated quickly.
Yes,
Terrible warrior
right?
story.
Quick question. When because there's a thing where we can cry out for help.
Yeah.
Can we particularly cry out for a character? Like, could we call for Francois?
Of course you can.
Yeah. But he might not come.
Depends on your role.
Depends on the role.
We might also be able to call for Simon because the candles we've seen so far have been very made by someone kicked in the head by a horse.
He might be here. You're right.
Yeah.
And he seems
He
like a
might have been
scary
turned into candles.
Oh.
No, not our fallback option.
Yeah, but after
He
what
never did check what was bubbling in that stew. But that was probably goat.
Was it our goats?
Yeah, it
They're
was.
all our dudes.
Okay, so we have the witch has the ring, correct?
Indeed.
And you wanted to track down
not,
a net.
not because we wanted to give the witch the ring, but because the witch has not
Well,
created
the
a
witch
room yet.
has the
And-
fucking ring.
You got the ring, and you wanted to find a net, and you wanted to find the servants' quarters keys, and you find the basic copper key you think is going to send you to the basic bland room where Annette is staying, and you make your way down the stairs from the banquet down into the lower. You can see out the window. There's Crow shoveling leaves into a big fenced in pyre, and they're all being
Oh yeah,
smoked.
because everything in this hell house is about fire.
No, it's something my granddad used to do. It's like this real nostalgic
It's
moment. for
Halloween
me.
appropriate. It's bonfire
Yeah,
themed.
just throwing in a bonfire night, getting things going. And so and you find yourself in front of a bland basic door with copper hinges on it. Any other details about this door you'd like to add?
No, it's just bog standard wooden door, kind of slightly rusty but sturdy looking hinges on it.
Now that you've said bog standard, we might just be walking into the bathroom.
Annette can't defend herself there, the bitch.
So you take the key,
You get to a fight using the tampon
you
machine.
put it into the lock. Unlike the rest of them, there's no intricate
Excuse,
changes.
this is the medieval ages. You just bleed. You just get locked in
Free
a shed.
bleeding.
It is a keyhole like any other keyhole, and you turn it like any other key, and there's nothing fancy about this, and it just unlocks. It's a basic door, and the door opens. You enter the room, and the door closes behind you. The room has a number of cots lying in the wall, and trunks of luggage lining each cot. And there's small candles around. There's not a whole lot of light in the room. There's only a single, think like a basement apartment, a single window at the very end that's spilling in some light. And it's open. It's not like a closed window with glass or anything. It's
Just a hole in the wall.
like bars on a wall. And from there you can smell the burning of crow's leaves outside.
And probably the rest of the house, am I right?
And you see kneeling with her back to you at the far end of the room, at least it appears to be Annette. Same hairstyle, same outfit, but they all kind of wear the same uniform. But there's a person or a servant girl at the far end of the room.
Now,
And,
witch, be careful. This might not be Annette.
Yeah, I mean, I'd hate for us to just murder some random person.
Okay, why does everything about a murderer? I would like to care for
Because
someone
literally
and go
the
up and
first
ask who
act-
she is.
The first act that you committed after getting the ring was murder.
But I'm chaotic. I'm chaotic, and therefore I'm going to do the thing everyone's not expecting, and I'm going to care for her and go up and ask if she's okay.
I think that's being a contrarian, not
As you
chaotic.
pass by, as you make your way up towards Annette to see her, there's a table with an open journal, and like a little inkwell and things that have been written down underneath the camp beside one of the beds.
I'd like to investigate that on our way towards caring for her.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so that is happening.
Yeah. So, what memories does this item hold?
So the journal is full of messages to home from a woman who's just moved here and is nervous and unsure of what life is going to be like here in this mansion.
Can I ask whose item this is?
Well, the mother has another question first.
Can I ask whose item this is?
So it is a journal that has been stolen from another room and does not belong to any of the servants. It is from a previous bride.
Okay.
Hmm.
Can we take a little look-see and give it a bit of a read?
Mm-hmm.
So,
And yeah, I mean, she was young and scared. She tried to give back to the staff by offering gifts. It sounds like the same woman that Francois was describing.
let's turn to the last
From before?
page. How does it end? What's the last entry?
Oh, jeez.
Just,
The pages have been torn out.
The last word is
You don't know.
The castle of awe.
The end of the journal, the pages have been ripped away.
If someone else wants to investigate it, we could find out what's odd or uncanny
Yeah,
about
I'll
it.
take a look-see at this. So why did Bluebeard keep it?
I mean, why is Annette just sitting there and letting us do this?
We're being very quiet.
So you don't know if Bluebeard kept it.
Okay.
That's not what she asked. She
Oh, no, I asked both.
What about the item is odd or uncanny?
Well,
Yeah.
then you also asked why did Bluebeard.
Yeah, no, I asked both.
Oh, well, then I'll ask what about this item is odd or uncanny?
Sorry, I would have said that was the last pages were ripped out.
Okay.
When you turned to the last question.
So what's the last thing written before the pages get torn?
What I described.
So just
Yeah.
trepidation.
Yeah. The while this is happening, Annette is talking to herself and seems to be in an argument, like hushed tones back and forth. And you can see not all of these beds are empty. They're occupied by sleeping servants.
Mm-hmm.
And they all seem to start stirring now. Like they're all having a bad dream at the same time.
Oh, cool. You were on your way to take care of Annette for some
Yes,
reason.
I wanted to go up. And
For some reason.
I wanted to go
And
up
which term of
and,
take care of Annette are we
Well,
talking
she
about?
seems to be distressed if she's talking to herself, or maybe she's on the phone, but she's talking to herself up there. I want to make sure she's okay.
And as you approach Annette, she stands up and whips around. And she's staring at you in the unbroken eye contact. And there's something about the eyes of that. The girl you met when she first came into the room when you were trying to hide the body is not the face of this girl that you're seeing. Like, it is Annette's face, but there's something more.
There's someone else back there.
Something else.
So my guess is
Something more
that she's
stern.
either possessed by a previous bride, and that's why she's been hampering us this whole time.
We can figure out by taking stock. I'd like to find out what horror here is hidden from the bride.
I think the witch has helped describe that just fine. Doesn't need. Oh,
Get away from that door, Francois.
yeah. You should listen to the witch. She knows what's going on.
Oh,
Okay.
So what are we going to do
what I'd
about
like to
it?
know is, what does this place demand of the bride?
Can I take a quick pause here? Is everything all right, Bree?
Mhm.
I mean, I'm happy to metagame and talk a little bit here if we're not having a good time.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I hate that this game has devolved into just reading move sheets.
Okay, that's the answer I was looking for. So I don't want to run through reading off of move sheets either. I'm having a hard time on trying to make it horrific and making it feminine horror in this particular room with these particular characters. Because the problem I'm criticizing myself in the last two rooms was there wasn't a sense of danger about Bluebeard in any of those rooms. Not maybe in the first room to a degree, but I'm not ramping it up.
What could possibly work here is rolling the story of, is she actually possessed by a bride, or does she just really want to be a bride so
She
bad?
has been possessed by a bride since the moment you burnt down the bedroom.
But what I mean is, in terms of like making this about a feminine horror, it's that thing of like, is she possessed by a bride, or does she just really, really, really want to be a bride because she wants Bluebeard's affections because she has no ability to create her life herself? So it's that kind of thing of playing back and forth of, is this a situation of there's the real bride who's possessed her, who's telling us,
Okay,
you know, the dangers of Bluebeard, or is this just a crazy woman?
so X card. We roll it back to the journal. After you've read the journal and you're making your way up back to the beds. The part about the other servants are all rustling and nightmaring that got a pop in the audience. If you were wearing the ring, that would have been Shiver from Fear.
No, I liked it. I was like, ooh.
Yeah, that would have. That would still be
Okay.
Shiver from Fear. Any kind of reaction from the player who's wearing the ring, right? And like, ooh, that's good. But that's also like, I like that. That's creepy. And we haven't had a Shiver from Fear in this game because we're all trying to avoid using that when that's supposed to be the most delicious move in the whole game. Like, we want that. It's supposed to encourage you to do that. But alas. So you're moving away from the journal as you're moving up the rows of the beds and the bodies are rustling around.
I would like to have taken that journal with me.
All right, you take the journal with you. And the Annette whips around, but that stern look in the face that I described earlier, it's not there. It's tears streaming down, and there's like an anger and a panic. And before you can even say anything, you're just as bad as him. You're going to fit in just fine here.
Are they regular tears? Or is there something off about them?
I mean, it's streaking down. There's all this soot and dirt from earlier, so it's creating these streaks on her face.
Mm-hmm.
And it's looking quite haggard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of tempted to caress a horror here because she's upset, and I'd kind of like to see what she would do if I directed her towards one of the sleeping people. What do you guys think?
One of those sleeping people could give her comfort, so that doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing.
Yeah. Okay, let's see.
Okay, let's go for that. I'm going to caress a horror. So that's my roll plus blood. 6, 7, 8, 9 plus 1, 10.
Oh, very nice.
So you take what was intended for you and direct it to another victim in the
So
house.
what I'm going to say is that, no, you have me all wrong. Where are you getting these ideas from?
Blame it on the dead girl.
Yeah.
She knows you've been hiding this crime since you first arrived. Everything
Why do you
you've been
think I
doing
committed
is
that
covering
crime?
it up.
Did you see me commit it?
It's your appetites. Your appetites are as bad as his. No wonder he chose you. No wonder he's fallen in love with you.
This isn't about that
He
burnt
loves
servant
us.
girl. Is this about the burnt servant girl, or is this
Giving
about
it
you
over.
and Bluebeard?
She didn't die in that fire.
Oh.
She would have.
She was dead before that fire ever happened. We all know that.
Who's we all? You don't know that.
And at that point, the we sits up in their beds.
In unison?
In unison.
That's good.
Nice. Actually, I'm going to shudder with fear on that one. Oh, wait, no, I have to pass the ring off.
Pass the ring to the Fairytale and shiver with fear.
Yeah.
Okay, you called it. I like that one.
So what are you afraid of here?
I'm afraid that there's some sort of horrendous, nightmarish hive mind.
Okay, now I had to take that and explain why it's worse.
I imagine that they're all previous brides,
Oh,
but I might be wrong.
that might be worse.
So it is worse than the hive mind.
A little.
And I mean, the witch is. I guess we're both.
Are you
guys,
shattered yet
too,
or what?
so-
God damn it, witch.
No, I'm actually doing fine.
You did fine, so I can't give you the trauma because you rolled a 10, 11 things. That would be unfair.
Do I take a trauma for shuddering?
You're gonna get some questions here from the Shiver with Fear. Is first it happens with how you can choose to either keep the ring or pass the ring.
I'll
At
keep
this
it.
point, if you keep it, you have to choose 2. And if you pass it, you only have to pick 1 from the list. So the brides, the possession is happening, and it has spread to these others. It's not so much a hive mind, but it is a collective community of the previous brides to Bluebeard are in this room judging you,
The
ready
7
to
evil
expose
exes.
you, ready to expose you for murdering the servant. They are afraid of you and are accusing that you are going to fit in just fine. Maybe Bluebeard has finally met his match with you in a way that he couldn't with us because we could never be what you are becoming.
So I'm scared, but I'm also kind of loving it. This feels very adult.
So
Wait a minute. They think that he couldn't find love with... How did they die?
Will they talk back to me?
no, they're just going to be screaming at you.
Oh, okay. That's not great. That's not helpful, ladies.
And they're going to start hurling accusations and insults, and then eventually they're going to swarm you and tear you to pieces.
And my other worry here is that the people that they're inhabiting might remember what's going on and know what we did.
Okay, so double worries. This is
So
very
if
much
you
not
choose
good.
to keep the ring, there's a list of 3 here. It infects the bride with its perversion. It has the bride in its clutches right now. It speaks to you. Take 1 trauma, just you. If you keep the ring, you have to pick 2 of those. If you pass it, you only pick 1 of those.
If you do take more trauma, we can break the virgin. Just saying.
Well, the trauma
mind
only
shattering
goes to
up
the
that
Fairytale.
virgin?
The trauma only goes to
Okay.
the
It
Fairytale
goes to
in
me.
this
Okay,
case.
so once more, may I see the list just so I know what to pick? Ladies, what do we think? I'll take this one on me. I don't mind too much, but let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna go with it infects the bride with perversion and it speaks to you because I have questions. Okay, so
So this thing.
So
Oh,
you're
sorry.
going to take the trauma.
Yep, I'm
and
taking the trauma.
and take the. It's going to infect you with the perversion. So you're going to be like, yeah, I am his match. I'm going to do all the things you're afraid of.
we are going to rule this house together. So it speaks to me. Is it
So it's
feeling
speaking. I mean, it is
conversational?
speaking to you. Is what I'm describing here. These are. I'm not role playing every word out. They're throwing these accusations at you, and they're screaming obscenities at you, and it's getting troubling and loud. Like you almost wish you were back in the kitchen being ignored, because no one's ignoring you now in this room. They're out of their bed and they're surrounding you now in a circle, and some are spitting on you, and they're going to get very physical very quickly.
Okay, so I am going to. This is a tricky one. How should I deal with this, ladies? Anyone got any ideas? Seem to have got myself in a little bit of a scrape.
We're outnumbered, so perhaps calling for help would be useful.
That's what I was gonna say.
But then Francois would know what we did.
Only if you call it for Francois.
Only if he believes them.
Oh, aha,
There is
like that.
Crow, who's just outside the window burning up the leaves.
Francois did see a net push us into an oven.
Okay, I'm going to. It's not my wheelhouse, but I am going to cry for help. Let's see how we do. Hope Francois comes to our rescue. That is a 7. With it's a resilience roll, I take it, yeah?
Yeah.
With a -1, that's a
it's a
6.
So before you can even cry out for help, Annette, who's now standing behind you as you're surrounded by the 7 evil brides, is going to grab you by your mouth before you can call out. And like no one's coming for you, and they're going to take a trauma for sure.
Take a
Everyone.
trauma. Everyone, sorry guys.
So that brings the
I'm-
virgins up to 1 to go.
Me too. Who's feeling well?
And you lose the ring,
You go, Mom.
and they're now grabbing at you and pulling at you and tearing at your dress and pulling at your hair and physically, they're going to pull you down to the ground. They're going to start stomping you.
Essentially, I have to fight for my life here because we're being torn apart. So I'm going to have to dirty myself with violence to try and get myself out of this. 10.
Okay. On a hit, you inflict trauma and choose 1. Disable them, silence them, mutilate them.
Ooh. I know what the witch would choose.
No, you don't.
In a way, I want to silence them because they're saying evil truths about us, but disabling them because if I just silence them, they can still tear us apart.
Yeah, go call.
So we're disabling.
Yep, go call.
So you start scrapping back and you start fighting away and you push them off of you, and they stumble down in a frenzy and they fall onto the ground, and from their corner of the room now they just scream. But you're away from the mob.
And I now have to pass the ring on?
As this happens, as you stumble away from them, your hands go into one of the luggages at the end, except it's not one of the servants' luggages. You can see quite clearly it's yours.
Oh.
And it's both your belongings from your home, as well as gifts from Bluebeard, dresses that were made for you, all the stuff that hadn't been delivered to the bedroom yet.
I mean, that's probably good because
It was
you guys
here.
almost burned the bedroom down.
There's no almost about it.
Well, it's down here, and it's clear that people have been rifling through it, and it's all unpacked and repacked poorly. And
We're going to have to clear house. There's going to be a whole recruitment thing.
I don't like how easily these guys get possessed. It's not a great sign in servants.
We should do internship program, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reach out to local colleges.
Yep.
Or like,
so
pay
they
the
the women go quiet, and Annette comes through the center of the group, and is once again accusing We know he's a monster, but we never expected one of us to be worse.
Okay, so
We're not one of them.
I have a
Yeah,
thing. I have a
rude.
thing I would like to do.
Of course you're one of
So-
us.
My face move as the victim is to caress a horror. When I invite them to come closer, I can mark 1 trauma to take a 10+ instead of rolling.
Which would then direct the horror away from the room, but shatter you in the process.
Yes.
Yeah.
You've been so brave, Virgin.
So I invite them to come closer. Reach out for
Annette's
Annette
hand.
and kind of, kind of just be like, who hurt you? Who hurt you, child? And kind of calm her down and be like, I'm not, I'd try to apologize to you before. Like, come on. How many times? How many times does it take to apologize to you? We got off to a bad start, and I think we're both very afraid. And
It counts as a success to caress a horror.
yeah, it's a 10+.
So Annette will be swayed by your stroke, and you will direct what was intended for you to another victim in the house. So where should
but on a
Annette-
success, I don't think I have to direct her, do I?
No, on a 7 to 9, you have to participate in some way.
Mm-hmm.
On a success, you always either way, it's always directed to someone else. So this accusation, though, someone still needs to be found for this crime. Someone still needs to be accused and suffer the justice of it. Right?
I see 2 ways forward with this. 1, we accuse the dead girl. 2, we accuse our husband.
Well,
say
I mean,
he's,
isn't it the dead girl? We can't. The dead girl
She's-
did not murder herself.
but we can say that the dead girl
or it can
created a
just be to
situation.
someone else, and they will just go outside the room. And
I'd
they'll
also say
hunt.
throw our husband under the bus. They're already
I
accusing
love our
him.
husband, so absolutely not.
But he's
No,
the leader.
I love
he can
my
survive
entire character is I love our husband.
to the point that
this
it's
is
actually
not-
going to shatter her,
Yeah.
convincing her this. So they believe you, and they know they've been hurt, but there's still a dead girl, and justice still needs to be found.
Simon made those candles.
Fuck Simon. They were all lopsided. That makes them fall over real easy. Fuck that guy.
So Simon will be held accountable for the death of the servant girl and the
I always-
fire in the house.
I always hated that guy.
It will ruin his career and the family business, and probably ruin the economy of where your family's from, because that candle maker was like the linchpin of holding that local municipality together. They were beloved. Anyway, we're gonna send it off to Simon. Sorry, Fatale. I know you really like Simon.
No, you were a bigger fan of Simon.
But that's because I needed a marriage plan. Now I have one.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
I'm
we're
married.
pretty squared away.
How callous you have become, Pride. So Annette nods, and there's like a shade that comes out of the 7 other servants, and they all just fall back asleep. They crumple back down to the ground, exhausted from the ordeal.
Yeah, same though.
And in the days to come, Simon will be found guilty for the death of the servant girl and for the fire caused in Bluebeard's mansion.
I mean, wow, Simon, you were a long way from home. What were you doing there? Who knows?
Right?
Delivering candles.
well, he
probably.
delivered faulty candles that should have been better constructed, and he was found responsible for the fire.
Does he get off for diminished
No,
responsibility?
he's hung.
Oh.
Hanged.
Yeah, he is.
Hanged until death. So we now find ourselves now in the room. Annette and the servants and the ghosts of the previous brides have fallen to sleep. Your luggage is down there, undelivered. The journal you've picked up from the other bride is there. And before you shatter, or do we want to shatter and let someone else? Yeah, we should let someone else propose.
Yeah,
the truth.
this is. Yeah, I can't do another thing.
So
before
the
I
moment you
I
shatter,
think.
you have a thing you get to read to the table.
Yeah, so you get to flip your sheet over, and then on the other side of the sheet, it's all dark. Takes a lot of ink to print. And it says, read this aloud. We are no longer whole. Our connection is severed. Our mind is fragmented. Our deepest fears are exposed. Our blood feeds the horrors, and I welcome them. And then the ring gets...
And if a second person shatters, you read that again in unison. From
Frankly,
now on,
This was everything we wanted out of the Virgin the whole time.
I've been trying real hard, and y'all have been healing me. So
So the thing with the shattered side now is the Virgin is working with me more directly, not just behind the scenes. But whenever a sister misses a roll, and there's maybe only a few more rolls left, the shattered sister, will use the following prompts and describe what happens by either what you find with more frightening, illuminate the horror in beauty as well as gore describe. So you get to describe how things go even worse whenever there's a missed roll. Fortunately, the game's almost over, so it's not going to happen much, but we'll see.
yeah, I'm not rolling anymore, so there won't be so many misses.
How do you shatter in the psyche for the other sisters at this moment when Annette is doing all this emotional labor you do is just too much now?
Oh, that's a mood.
You've just convinced them, I still love him. I'm not turning him in. I'm not the monster you think I am. Go take out Simon.
Yeah, I'm sure it was the dude who made the candles. I think the Virgin now is I mean we're real similar. They told us that we were really similar, and that's a good thing, right? That means it's going to be a strong, healthy marriage, and he definitely loves us. And they told us we were really, really similar.
It didn't work out for the rest of them, but
and
he's
it didn't work
finally
out for the
found
rest
it
of
with
them.
us.
But like maybe it'll work out for us because we're really similar, and I'm sure he loves us.
Maybe in the mind's eye, the Virgin is holding on to one of those candlesticks. Sort of a little ray of hope.
It's lit, and then the wax is just dripping down
Down her
onto
arms.
our arms and our hands, and
Yeah, that's creepy.
yeah. Anyway, ring.
Who gets the ring?
Who gets to?
That's your last
wield-
act.
Mm.
Anyone can get it.
Yeah, I mean anyone could get it because I guess I was the last one to get it. I don't know which. What up in this room?
Cool. Okay, I got it again. Are we done? Can we go look at that room yet?
So the
I don't want to.
in order to leave the servants' quarters,
Bitch.
in order to leave the servants' quarters, you can propose a truth.
Faithful.
Another faithful token. Which token would you like to take that's faithful?
Oh, take a journal.
The journal.
The journal. All right. Everyone else heal 1 trauma.
Okay, good, because I was getting pretty bad there towards the end.
Yeah, same though.
Maybe a little worse than me, though, huh?
So you take this, despite every warning that the other shades had of Bluebeard's intentions and motivations and what it means for you. You still took this journal that said only the good stuff with all the bad stuff torn out.
we're like him, right? That's what they said.
All the bad stuff of that journal's removed, including how the bride may have felt near her final days.
But I'm stronger than they are.
And you take the journal and you go, this is fine. Everything's fine. And feeling emboldened, we reach the end of the game, the final room. With a faithful outcome, you have collected enough evidence to prove your husband's loving intentions. As a faithful bride, you must choose to either enter the room or look through the keyhole.
Look through the keyhole.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
This is.
I wish there was an
all of
option
you.
to just do neither of the two and just
I gotta
Go
take a
on
little
about
look.
life.
Ro. You gotta take a little look.
okay, yeah. So keyhole, I guess, of those two options.
So you're going to look through the keyhole? If you're looking through the keyhole, you're not going to see everything. So I was just going to say there would be like trophy heads of the brides all done up. Bluebeard might even be in that room at that time. He didn't realize he'd come back because you've been downstairs fighting with the servants. He's kissing one of these mounted heads and talking to them and caressing them and keeping all of these. And then you recognize their faces. You've seen them on the faces of the servants, like from the one that you smothered with the pillow and from Annette and the others who were in the servants' room. And now they're all mounted on the walls. But Bluebeard's in there, and he doesn't see you looking through the keyhole. So you know, and he doesn't know you know. And you move away, and I have some questions for you. For each of you. So who, the witch was the one who looks through the keyhole. What did the bride lose when she saw the horrors through the keyhole?
Nothing. She was already she lost her innocence, I guess, because the virgin's already broken. But she's suspicious. Her suspicions are confirmed, and she is as bad as Bluebeard, so she's pretty okay with everything.
Even kissing him after he kissed all those corpse heads?
Yeah,
Ugh.
especially after.
Well, that's interesting, Mother. What loving impulse kept the bride from going into the room?
Well, so far, all 3 rooms actually just reaffirmed that A, she was darker than she thought she was, and B, that made this marriage perfect.
Which is a weird twist on this game, let me tell you.
Maybe we're all entitled to secrets, huh?
Fairytale, how did Bluebeard reward you for remaining loyal and never going inside the room?
With a lavish, beautiful new bedroom.
No candles this time.
No.
No. Virgin, I know you're shattered, but you still get to answer. What is the bride's favorite room to spend her days in now?
Well, I'm still not allowed in the room with the heads, am I?
You could? Probably not. No. Maybe you go back and you just look through the keyhole
Just peek through the keyhole every now and then.
and go,
Look, whenever you can't find Bluebeard.
that's where we'll end up one day. Maybe that's the virgin. That's where we'll end
Virgin's
up one
like,
day, sisters.
I wonder if he loves us as much as he loves all of them.
Well, he'll keep us forever there too, right? That's good news for you.
Virgin's into it.
Yep.
Oh,
As
dear.
always.
So for all of you, how does the bride cope with the horrors she spied through the keyhole? And continues to spy through the keyhole every Tuesday when the virgin creeps you
Every
downstairs.
Tuesday.
I don't think it's a matter of coping, because this is just something she's realized about herself that, hey, I mean, the mother is a very practical lady. The fact that we've had to go through some
So we're going to be
some
severed
dark
and mounted
times.
on a wall and have to...
Look, the real horror was inside of us.
Now
all
that we
along.
know who the husband is, I don't think we ever have to be severed and put in there, because we know exactly what he wants and we're willing to do
You'll
anything
bring him more heads.
happily. as long as he knocks me up.
Ah.
Virgin is shattered and didn't hear that.
So yeah, I guess I'm coping by, okay, I get it. People kill people. I killed someone apparently. I might kill more people. I didn't hate it. It was my first serious sexual experience and I murdered someone, so I've got some pretty cross wires.
And it was kind of fun covering it up.
It was. We were pretty good at it
Yeah.
too, huh? So
Oh,
maybe we could team up.
Dear. Oh, dear. This is a very different ending than when we played through this game the first time.
Mm-hmm.
How are you feeling, Witch? Everyone else got a
Same,
response?
kind of pretty much. I'm okay with this.
Yeah, which is done. we're out. Well, then that concludes our version of the fairy tale of Bluebeard's bride,
Where she becomes an accomplice.
where she became a co-conspirator in Bluebeard's serial killing ways.
Way to own it, ladies.
I think she's got her own serial killing way. She's not just an accomplice, but let's be feminist here. She is a serial killer in her own right. We've just seen the first murder.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and second, because she kind of threw Simon under the bus.
Can we call her a disorganized killer? Because that was a mess.
The first one's never clean.
yeah. We'll get like an acid bath technique down. We'll work it out.
We're going to break down what we thought about this game, compare it to the first time we played this game in our debrief. You can listen to it on the on the Patreon channel now. And that's my only pitch for that. For now, I'm going to say thank you for joining us here. Happy Halloween.
Yeah.
Next month, we're playing Star Trek Adventures, which is going to be fun. We return to the living campaign that we played all those times ago. I'm looking forward to it. And for now, I have been your groundskeeper, muddling my way through this game, Justin Ecock, and I have been surrounded by my sisters and killers from the Fairytales for Unwanted Children podcast,
I've been your cool mom. Check me out at unwantedchildren.ca.
from the podcast for the recently deceased.
I've been Ash Cassidy, the Fairytale. If you want to find us, you can find us on all those tedious social social networks at Podcast for the Recently Deceased.
They're going to say social intimacies.
Social intimacies, I wish. No, it's relatively the opposite. With my husband, Nick Cassidy, who is tuckered out.
Yeah, I'm good. Nick Cassidy, podcast recently.
Took a crash in the last 15 minutes there. And
Hi.
crashing, but still in it.
Hi, Brew Poison.
And
Hi. Bye. Hi.
find you
Bye.
on the Sayer podcast and
Yeah, I'm an elevator on Sayer. I'm on
Twitch.tv/Nomlet.
twitch.tv/Nomlet, NOMMLET, because someone is squatting on my regular name and Twitch won't give it to me.
Start the
If
petition now.
If I keep saying that, will they give it to me? Probably not.
Complaining usually works, I've found, if you do it loud enough and long enough.
Social media shaming.
I tried. It hasn't
So-
worked yet. Anyway.
See you at the debrief. And until next time, thank you for listening and be good to each other. Bye.
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 And that's it for Bluebeard's Bride. Supporters on Patreon can head over to patreon.com/terriblewarriors right now to download the debrief episode recorded exclusively for them. We don't hold back any punches in this debrief episode. This was a very difficult game to play, and we offer up advice for game groups that are interested in playing this game, and we talk about what made this game so challenging to play. It was so challenging, in fact, that this is actually our second time playing the game. We mentioned that a few times. If you want to hear what the first take sounded like, we recorded the whole thing. That will also be going up on Patreon, most likely tomorrow, for you to download and listen to. There'll be no production quality, there'll be no editing, there'll be no work done to it. Treat them like demo tapes. But they're not bad. I just didn't feel like they were good enough to put on the podcast. Patreon supporters also get to vote each month on which game we're going to play next. And the polls are still open for October. You got a little bit of time to get in there. It looks like Masks is going to win. But the game you asked us to record last month, and the episode that will be coming out next week, is a return to Star Trek Adventures, The Living Campaign. It's been a while since we flew around in a starship. Do we still remember how to shoot the phasers? Find out on Tuesday, with new and old crew members joining to boldly go where no one has gone before. Bluebeard's Bride is published by Magpie Games, and special thanks to our guests in this campaign, Scott Thrower from the Fairytales for Unwanted Children podcast, Nick and Ash Cassidy from the podcast of the recently deceased, and Bree Poisonne from Terrible Warriors and the Sayer podcast. And I'm Justin Ecock, your groundskeeper for this game. Follow us on Twitter at Dice Warriors. Check out our Instagram page every now and then. We put a new picture up there. Our Discord channel is waiting to embrace you. And we'll see you next week, right here, Star Trek Adventures, on the Terrible Warriors.